Alrighty then. Okay, hang on a second. Give me one second. Alright, got the mic ready. There you go. That's much better. Alrighty. Cool. How's everybody doing? Probably nobody tuned in yet. Let's have a check. Oh, I don't know. That's alright. Let's keep things going. We got actually a pretty long stream to do today. Okay, give me 1 second to get everything together. Oh, let's see. All right, cool. All right, how's everybody doing? I had a pretty good week. Had a pretty eventful week with Gamescom being going on this week. There's a lot of news, gaming news to cover this week. There's a lot that I've been wanting to get to and talk about this week, but I couldn't because last stream we spent pretty much the whole time watching the game show, the opening night live for Gamescom, which was, to be honest, it wasn't really as exciting as I hoped it would be. But that's okay. There were still a lot of standouts from the event, I thought, and post event there was a lot of not a lot, but there are a few more announcements that I saw popping up on YouTube. We'll be covering that today as well. There's what else? There is actually there were some leaks from Ubisoft that there were some leaks about a TV show from Ubisoft that kind of accidentally leaked and they kind of pulled off last second, and there's a bit of a rumor about that. We'll get into that in a bit. And there are also talks about Last of Us, the director of Last of Us Online, if you know what that is. Once upon a time, there was supposed to be an online game mode for Last of Us, which was crashed before it ever took the light of day. However, the director from that game mode, who was working on that game mode, has launched a new studio. So we'll talk about a little bit about that too. What else? Also, one of the biggest news from this week, if you've been tuned in, was Bungie CEO who stepped down. So that's kind of interesting. I think given the situation with Bungie right now, how Destiny has been doing, how Marathon has been received so far, which is, to say, not the best. So we'll get to that as well. And there's a lot of video games to cover today. There's a preview that we'll be looking at, Blood of Dawnwalker. There's some stuff about Where Winds Meet, Crimson Desert, Valor Mortis. These are like really awesome games that I'm really hyped for. So we'll be talking about a little bit of those as well. Some COD news, your favorite game, Battlefield 6, and a whole bunch of new game trailers that we'll be checking out today. So we got quite a bit to get through, which will be fun. So stick around if you're just tuning in. We'll be checking those out together and have fun. And I'm sure it'll be a good one because we have a lot to cover today. But yeah, before we get into that, I just want to ask you guys how your week has been. Have you been playing any new games this week, or have you been, have you found anything interesting during Gamescom event? Just let me know. Let me know if you have, because I would like to really get into that and talk about that a little bit, if you can. But yeah, it's a super fun time right now with all the games announcement, and I'm really keen to see if we're gonna get any more of it. They did have a Xbox showcase event as well, which I checked out briefly, but I think it's a little bit boring. They were just discussing about just gameplay, showing games, and then just showcasing specific games and just talking about it in depth. Just developer showcases and stuff like that, which for your average gamer, I don't think it covers a lot. But if you're a hardcore like me, you probably enjoy watching those. We won't be checking those out in the stream today, but we will be getting into a lot of the fun stuff, a lot of the exciting stuff from the Gamescom event, and what's been revealed so far, and what to look out for, stuff like that. Have you guys seen my latest video on Gamescom? Because I did a stream checking it out together, but then I also did another video after that, just showing the best games that I thought were from Gamescom opening night live, that I feel hyped for, which I think it's a pretty good list. You should, if you haven't checked it out already, please go check it out. Help your brother out. But yeah, so that's pretty much it that's been going on. I had some cheeky late Nando's today, so that was fun. Anyway, cool. Just trying to check if anything's working. Ooh. Alright, cool. It's not working. I just actually installed this Stream Deck plugin for OBS, but it seems to have a mind of its own, and it doesn't seem to work, which is pretty on point with what's been going on with my life in terms of trying to get my plugins working and my everything working, which hasn't really been going well, to be honest with you. So that's always fun. Yeah. Anyway. All right. So yeah. So I've been trying to last week. If you tune into my stream, you would know that I had a lot of trouble trying to get my chat to work. It was kind of all over the place for the first pretty much an hour of my stream, and then I finally managed to kind of patch it up halfway through almost, and I didn't mess with it because nothing I tried really worked, so I just left it at that. Anyway. Okay. All right. Anyway, I will. We'll get started talking about the news bits before we get into the checking out the new trailers and stuff. I wanna talk a little bit about the bits and pieces of news that interested me today, because I think these are worth talking about at the very least, because they're quite interesting, and it kind of gives us a glimpse as to what's really going on with some of these gaming companies, I think. So one of the first pieces of news that I was really interested to see was, let me bring it up for you guys. Um, anyway, yeah. So one of the first pieces of news that I came across today was the fact that, if you can see here, Bungie CEO Pete Parsons is retiring from his role. So, for those who don't know who Bungie is, if you've been living under a rock, they are the people who initially made Halo games back in the day for Xbox, and then they moved on to work with Sony at some point to make a kind of a legendary game called Destiny, if you heard of that. Destiny is basically an online looter shooter kind of game which actually took off really well. I guess like early 2010s, and it was a huge success. Initially, it was a paid game, but then they released Destiny 2, which then eventually ended up being a free-to-play game, and they changed their whole business model around the game to be a free-to-play looter shooter where you can actually pay for DLCs and stuff like that, and it really worked out well for them. They've been going on for years, and they're still up. I think they just released like their last DLC this year because they're kind of wrapping things up with Destiny after all this time, to move on to a game called Marathon. Marathon. I'm sure you have heard of Marathon. Marathon. Let, let's see that is. Bungie. I should have just typed that. So Marathon is also a first-person shooter game, but it's got a very different vibe. It's got a very different vibe for compared to Destiny. If the page decides to load, I'm not sure what's happening. I'll open YouTube. Marathon Bungie reveal. Well, just let's check out this. So this was Marathon. So it was again one of those shooters. But this time around it's an extraction shooter. So they decided to go kind of like, I don't want to say it's like, Rainbow Six or something like that, but it's an extraction shooter. And right off the bat, it looked interesting, but once you started digging into what the game really is about, there was a bit of a deep dive gameplay reveal after this reveal trailer. It ended up kind of giving an impression to most of us that it's a little bit too generic and undercooked for what it is. They even had some issues with the whole copyright issues with the assets they've used in the game. There were like artists they were coming out saying they use their digital assets without them getting paid or being notified in the game. I'm not sure to what extent that got resolved, but yeah, there were some copyright issues with the assets used. The vibe, basically, these abstract stuff that they used to create this whole Marathon vibe was based on art that already existed. Some of it taken one-to-one as well, so there was a whole bunch of issues regarding that as well. But all in all, in terms of gameplay, the concept itself looks pretty cool. The vibe looks pretty cool. But I don't know. It looked like it didn't have that, the stay factor, that, that the thing that keeps you coming back to it. It looked like one of those games you just try out for a couple of weeks and then you'll get sick of it and then just move on, which is not a great model to have if you especially if you're aiming for a game that's always online service game like this. You want it to last for years and years like Destiny did. Um, does Destiny have still players? I'm pretty sure. Let's check. Destiny 2 Steam DB. So Destiny 2 has close to 20,000 players playing online right now on Steam. And that's the kind of success you want to have, right? And they have 35,000 to 24-hour peak. All-time peak is just over 3,000. So yeah, so over time you can see like this it's fluctuated, but it stayed consistently at the same kind of level over 1 week, 1 year, 3 years. It never really it peaked. I guess like during DLC launches they peak, but then you maintain same similar level base over time, right? And this is the kind of player level that you want to maintain for online game. You want to have the consistent levels of players playing the game, otherwise it just wouldn't be a success. But it's very hard to replicate one success with another game. Destiny 2, which is basically like an improved version of Destiny 1, it they lucked out with that game. It was a pretty good game, and it came out at the right time, and it maintained that player level even to this day. I had a lot of memories having fun playing that game back in the day with my mates. Don't really play it so much now, but it's a good time, and there's still a lot of player base. But Marathon is their next venture. I'm not really sure what they're doing with Marathon. It's been kind of seen as a departure from what Destiny, the quality, a level of quality, and that Destiny offered so far. So not sure. So definitely there's been some issues in the management side of things, obviously. So yeah, breaking. Bungie CEO Peter Parsons is retiring from this role. I don't think this is breaking. This seems like a pretty planned event, and I found this article from Variety that's talking about his departure from Bungie. Peter Parsons steps down as CEO at PlayStation's Bungie. Justin Truman takes over as studio head at Destiny 2 maker. So, if you zoom in a little bit, you'll see. Longtime CEO at PlayStation's Bungie, Pete Parsons is stepping down from his post at the video game developer behind Destiny 2 and the upcoming Marathon. Parsons will be replaced by Destiny 2 General Manager and Bungie Chief Development Officer Justin Truman, who has been named Bungie Studio Chief. Sources tell Variety Bungie will no longer have a CEO, and Truman's position is now the top role at the Sony-owned company. No more CEO. That's an interesting move. After more than 2 decades of helping build this incredible studio, establishing the Bungie Foundation, and growing inspiring communities around our work, I have decided to pass the torch, Parsons said in a post shared to the Bungie website Thursday. This journey has been the honor of a lifetime. I'm deeply proud of the worlds we built together and the millions of players who call them home, and most of all, I'm privileged by the opportunity to work alongside the incredible minds at Bungie. Bungie was acquired by PlayStation in July 2022. The developer was previously owned by Microsoft from 2000 to 2007 and then split to become a privately held company. The studio is currently working towards a release of its new Marathon game, which has not yet set a launch date. Truman wrote in his own note Thursday, I am committed to supporting and working alongside every member of the team here as we continue pouring our hearts and souls into these worlds that we love and that we hope have been worth your time and your passion. Because ultimately, those worlds only exist and thrive with you in them. We are hard at work right now doing that, but with Marathon and Destiny, we are currently heads down, but we'll have more to show you in both of these worlds later this year. Okay. Representative for PlayStation declined request for additional comment Thursday. Cool. Yeah, and this is the message. This is the message that Pete Parsons has written on the Bungie website. It's a bit to get through, but I'll just read it out a little bit. After more than 2 decades of helping build this incredible studio, establishing the Bungie Foundation and growing inspiring communities around our work, I have decided to pass the torch. This journey has been an honor of a lifetime, blah, blah, blah. We read all that. When I was asked to lead Bungie in 2015, so he started to this position in 2015. This was well after Bungie and Bungie 2 has come into provision. In release date, well, Destiny 2 has come on 2019, I guess. Yeah, so yeah, I said 2019. Nah, no way. Hang on a second. Destiny 2 release date 2017. Okay. That was the release date. Destiny 1 release date was... When did it release date? It doesn't say. Not Destiny 1. 2014. Okay. 2014. Cool. All right. So he started working as CEO at Bungie in 2015. My goal was to grow us into a studio capable of creating and sustaining iconic generation-spanning entertainment. We've been through so much together. We launched a bold new chapter for Destiny, built an enviable independent live ops organization capable of creating and publishing its own games, and joined the incredible family at Sony. Today marks the right time for the new beginnings. The future of Bungie will be in the hands of a new generation of leaders. I'm thrilled to announce that Justin Truman will be stepping into... Okay. I have worked alongside Justin for many years, blah, blah, blah. Thank you for being the best. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so he's basically moving on. I don't think this is a coincidence, given how badly their latest game has been received and kind of a downward spiral Bungie has been heading in the past many years. And this would have, I mean, my assumption is this would have come as a bit of a restructuring internally, and he probably would have been given the chance to retire or step down, and he took it. That's probably what I think, but take it with a grain of salt, pure speculation here. But yeah, it's definitely interesting that this happened right before a new game launch. If he's been here a while, so it feels like a very odd time to be stepping down, to be honest. It would have made sense that he stepped down maybe a little after the launch or something, but the fact that it's happening now, it tells us a lot. And the fact that they haven't renamed a CEO, and the fact that there's no replacement, so it's a bit of a weird situation that's going on. So yeah, and it kind of makes sense. These kind of things happen all the time in the corporate world. So ultimately, they're here to make money. So they just got to do what's best for the company. So there's that. So yeah, what do you guys think about this piece of news? It's do you reckon it's a win, or it's a loss for the company itself, for Sony and also Bungie and also for us gamers? Let me know what you guys think. I think it's probably for the better, I guess. But it's too early for us to tell whether this is going to make a substantial difference in the actual games that they're working on. It's way too early to tell, So I don't know. Maybe there might be a difference, but right now, I don't know. It could be anything. Could be. It could go either way. Marathon is a bit of a. I'm on the fence about Marathon. It could go either way. It looks like, in terms of like actually how it feels, I'm sure they nailed that right, because Bungie has a lot of experience in shooters, and even Destiny absolutely feels amazing to shoot, and I'm sure they got that part right. But I don't know, as the concept of Marathon, if that is exciting or attractive enough to keep the player keep coming back to it. That'll be the challenge for Bungie. So yeah, let me know if you think this is the right move for Bungie. Speaking of directors, we do have another piece of news that I spotted on this website. This is VG Charts. It's a pretty good website. I sometimes come across articles from here. I think are pretty reliable. They're not biased, so I tend to check this website out. So, make sure you also check it out. So there was an article on this about the fact that director of cancelled The Last of Us Online is working on new multiplayer title at new studio. And if you see who that is, the director on the now cancelled The Last of Us Online, Vinit Argavam, I'm sure I butchered that name, speaking with GameSpark, revealed he has launched a new studio in Japan and is working with former Naughty Dog creative director Joe Pettinari to develop a similar game. That sounds interesting. From what I've seen about Last of Us Online mode, let's see what that is. The Last of Us Online mode. That was a thing, huh? The factions. There you go. Factions. That's what it calls. Are there any videos? What rise and fall? Yeah. Alright, we'll get to that later. Yeah, so that's that. Factions build. I don't know if this is like actual gameplay. I think it is. But yeah, so basically it's like the combat system from the actual game, but used in online mode. It's like, pretty simple concept, but it would have been a fantastic addition to the game, but it didn't really end up happening. So to have a similar game made by the same people who were working on this mode, that could be interesting. Right? Here it says my main titles were Uncharted 4, Thieves End, Uncharted The Lost Legacy. Uncharted also had an online game mode too, which is also fantastic and pretty underrated. And The Last of Us Part 2. The Argavalm. I worked on both multiplayer and single player. I was mainly in charge of boss battles, and Naughty Dog's boss battles are generally 1-1 situations. So I wanted players to feel like they were fighting a human player, not an AI, even in single player. To be more specific, I worked on the final boss in A Thief's End and the fight between Ellie and Abby in The Last of Us Part 2. I used all my knowledge of multiplayer to create the feeling that you were fighting a human. A big part of what inspired me to go independent was seeing the potential in combining Naughty Dog's speciality cinematic action with multiplayer. Interesting, but also kind of a fine line there. If you cross that line, it could also end very badly, I feel. Let's keep reading. Argaworm has opened an office in Japan, while Petinati has remained in the US. Their game is being developed across both offices. The team currently has around 10 employees and plan to grow to around 30. This new game is described as a triple indie. Triple indie. Is that a term? By Argaworm and has been in development for a few months. It isn't ready to be shown off yet, but he has been playing it with friends every week. There's not much we can say yet, but the new game is a multiplayer game, and we aim to bring the cinematic action we've been familiar with from our previous titles to multiplayer, he stated. We are already in contact with partners, and we expect to have more information to share in the future. Alright. The Last of Us Online was cancelled in December 2023. Yep, okay. Alright. First of all, I want to look up what the hell is a triple indie is. Yeah, I don't know. It's not a term, but I get what they're trying to say. They're trying to say like it's an indie game with the expertise of a AAA studio. I get it, but my concerns for this piece of news is the fact that they're making a multiplayer pretty similar to what would have been Last of Us Online is in itself is a pretty interesting concept. But I'm not sure how it would work without the context of something like the Last of Us game itself. The factions for Last of Us worked because you weren't just playing the multiplayer, you were coming into multiplayer from the main game, which was a single player, and you know the characters. So in that sense, a multiplayer set in that universe with those characters would have made sense, and you would have kind of gone along with it. But if you just I don't know, like I don't know how interesting it would be to just have a multiplayer on its own in that sense. Yeah, it could go either way with cinematic actions and stuff like that. A lot of the time when you play multiplayer, you're not looking for cinematic action sense in the sense that you see from games like The Last of Us, which are designed to be a cinematic story. It's a storytelling game, so every frame is pre-designed. So you're basically on rails for most of the time, and you just experience the story the way it's intended to be said. So, having said that, achieving that level of cinematic detail in a multiplayer game could be quite hard, and also sometimes could be annoying, because that cinematic feel of a linear game like The Last of Us comes at a cost of player freedom. But in a multiplayer game, it's all about player freedom. So I'm not sure how they're going to really balance that. It will be interesting to see what that really feels like. So I'm keen to see what they're going to come up with this time and what they're going to say, because it's definitely an interesting take on the whole Last of Us factions mode that didn't take off, and it would be nice to see something like that pop up actually works really well and embraced by the player community and actually take off. I want it to work, but I'm really skeptical to see until I actually see what that game is like and how it actually plays. But yeah, I'm gonna keep my eyes out for this one, because it could be something refreshing in the multiplayer games realm if it works out, or it could be one of the duds. Who knows? But let's see, right? Let's see. Let me know what you guys think in about Last of Us factions. If you would enjoy something like that made by the same people who made it. If you're keen to see what these guys have to offer in terms of Last of Us Online mode, but not really Last of Us, let me know what you guys think, because That would be pretty cool. Yeah. All right. So let's move on to speaking of crappy TV shows. Last of Us crappy TV show. I mean, Last of Us season 1 was actually pretty good, not gonna lie. But they crapped the bed with Last of Us season 2, dude. I have talked about this before, so I won't get into it. But speaking of TV shows, Ubisoft, they announced a live action Far Cry TV show accidentally and then immediately pretends like they didn't do it's like it's they wiped it out pretty quickly. I wanted to talk about this news as soon as I saw it, but I didn't get a chance. So let's dive into this article that they posted. PC Gamer posted this. They're saying Ubisoft is no stranger to its video game news leaking ahead of time, but this is the first time I can remember one of its TV shows leaking early. And the leak is coming from inside the house. An article about a new television project appeared on Ubisoft's own news site over the weekend, but was then quickly removed. Not quickly enough, however. The now missing news post announced that a live-action Far Cry TV series is in the works at FX. A post on the Far Cry subreddit, which was also removed by reported on by Eurogamer, captured a few details. Described as an anthology drama where each season will be set in a new world with a different cast of characters. Ugh. I don't know if that's what we want from a Far Cry TV show, but okay. The show is reportedly being executive produced by Noah Hawley, who created the Fargo series for FX as well as Alien Earth, which begins airing on the FX this week. Alright. Starring in and co-executive producing the Far Cry series is Rob McElhenney of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, who at some point started going by the name Rob Mac, apparently. Yeah, I can see why he would. I don't know how to say this. McElhenney? I missed this news, but I'm in favor of it because every time I try to spell McElhenney like now, I have to look it up. I just looked it up. You're probably aware this won't be the first Far Cry adaptation. The notorious 2008 Far Cry movie made by Uwe Boll was almost universally hated by both audiences and reviewers. Oh my god, there was a Far Cry movie in 2028? What? This was a thing? Did I miss this? Oh, shit. Yeah, this was a thing, was it? This was a thing. It was so bad, I think I trauma blocked this from my memory.
Is Jack Carver.
I do remember this now. Gosh, this happened as far back as 2008. Bro.
Absolutely outstanding.
Damn.
Is Jack Carver
This was a thing.
in a really good mood?
So you are the cause of my recent troubles.
This was a thing?
I'm just the driver.
I see.
It looks like one of those B movies that like made for TV.
I thought she was dead.
She soon will be.
Oh wow, look at that acting. Grade A acting.
You are one persistent son of a bitch.
Till Schweiger.
They used entire $1,000 they had in the budget for this. A for effort, I guess. Oh, they used the logo exactly like it. Okay. Whoa. Was Ubisoft even involved in this, or did they just license it out? They're not even mentioned. Based on a Crytek video game Far Cry. Cool. Based on a Crytek video game. Yeah. My god, I remember this. This was a Crytek game. Far Cry. The whole reason why it's called Cry is because it's Crytek engine. Like Crysis was. Yeah, and then the IP was bought by Ubisoft, and they made Far Cry 2 and Far Cry 3, which really took off. Okay, so that's probably why they're not mentioned. This was a bad movie. Yeah, exactly. This movie was so bad that I actually forgot it existed. I'm there with you, brother. This really looks more like a parody. Oh my god. Yeah. Anyway, so that's where we were. Okay, that's pretty cool. That was a thing. So, what do you know, huh? Anyway, cool. So that happened, but I suddenly feel like I should give it a watch. In 2023, Netflix released an anime series, Captain Laserhawk, a Blood Dragon remix, which everyone seemed to like, and I feel like I'm letting you down again here, but I haven't seen that either. I haven't watched it either. It actually flew right under my radar. Didn't feel like it was a thing that I would be interested in. I don't watch a lot of anime, but yeah, I don't know. It just I guess it works for an anime, but would I watch as a Far Cry fan? Probably not. That's not what I play Far Cry for, so you know. But it's also wise to remember that Ubisoft has announced a whole bunch of TV and film adaptation over the past few years that we haven't forgotten and may never actually materialize. An Assassin's Creed TV series, a Beyond Good and Evil animated film. I mean, they've been working on Beyond Good and Evil 2 game for over a decade. That hasn't materialized either. We don't even hear anything about it. A live-action movie based on Tom Clancy's The Division, Just Dance film, Riders Republic movie, a Watch Dogs movie, Rabbids film, Splinter Cell series, even a Skull and Bones TV show. Yeah. Do you think we'll really get a Skull and Bones TV show? No, I don't think, dude. They really thought that, quadruple A game would actually come to be the biggest moneymaker they would have. But oh my god. The pure execution itself alone was enough to just turn people away from it. So it's hard to think they're going to sink any more money into that IP. I don't think we'll ever get a Skull and Bones TV show. A Far Cry show feels a bit more likely, especially since Ubisoft previously teamed up with Rob Mack, that is easy to spell, for Apple TV Plus sitcom Mythic Quest, which ran for 4 seasons before being cancelled early this year. The other big question, why take down the announcement? Even if it was accidentally posted early, you might as well just run with it because now we all know about it. I've asked Ubisoft for comment and we'll update this article if I hear back. The smart money is on me not hearing back. Yeah. I think obviously it was an accident and it's probably in the pipeline of their marketing calendar to actually put that up at some point, and they probably made a mistake with it. That's probably what happened. I think we will probably hear about it soon with more details, given that they actually did announce a Splinter Cell series, if I remember correctly, just like a couple of days ago. Ubisoft Splinter Cell TV series. Yeah, there's a Netflix show called Splinter Cell Death Watch. It's yeah, we're not getting a game for that though, despite many people begging to have a new Splinter Cell game. We just get a TV show, anime, on Netflix, which is always fun. Which is fun, I suppose. But yeah, anyway, so this whole thing with Ubisoft accidentally revealing a Far Cry show, what do you guys think? Do you think it was a mistake and only a mistake and we're probably not going to see a Far Cry show, or it was just revealed prematurely, and we're probably going to hear about it in the next couple of months. I think it's the latter. We're probably going to hear about it in the next couple of months, and we'll probably see. We'll get to know more of it. I think they just don't wanna. They were probably working on putting the Splinter Cell stuff out, but instead they just accidentally ended up revealing Far Cry TV show. I think that's what I think. Anyway, moving on. The next bit of thing that I want to actually talk about, actually more than talk about, I want to bring to your attention is the Blood of Dawnwalker's first impression posted by GameSpot. So GameSpot had a chance to, I suppose, play a little bit of the Blood of Dawnwalker. For those who don't know what that game is about, it's basically a game that's been developed by a bunch of former Witcher 3 devs from CDPR, which sounds very promising because I don't know if there's anyone who didn't enjoy Witcher 3. Witcher 3 was a fantastic game. We all had fun playing that game for many, many years. It's one of the best games that's been put out. Best DLCs, totally worth your money, even at full price. Especially now at heavy discounts. But for CDPR former devs, a bunch of them created their own studio called Rebel Wolves, and now they're developing their own game called The Blood of Dawnwalker, which is basically Witcher 3 with vampires. That's like probably the easiest way to explain the game, but it's a little bit more nuanced than that. But it's definitely something that I've been keen to see more of and get my hands on as quickly as possible. And GameSpot beat me to it, obviously. And they put out a first impressions video, and I want to check it out. I just posted my own video reacting to the Gamescom video they put out, talking about the Blood of Dawnwalker. Sorry, not the Gamescom video, IGN video. Which has like little bits and pieces of snippets from the gameplay. It wasn't a lot. I was hoping to see a lot more, but there wasn't a lot. So anyway, that's totally fine. We'll just check out what these guys are saying. This is that video. Alright, cool.
Three, do you like vampires? Then boy, do I have the game for you.
Blood of Dawnwalker.
Hey, I'm Lucy. I am GameSpot's resident vampire enjoyer, whatever that means. I recently went to LA to see a hands-off presentation of the Blood of Dawnwalker, which is a game from Rebel Wolves. You might recognize a lot of those names and faces because they did work on The Witcher 3, and they formed a brand new studio, and this is their game. It is about a Dawnwalker, a blade type half vampire who can walk around in the day as well at night, and they have to stop an evil clique or coven of vampires who have kind of taken over the land a little bit. It's 14th century Europe, which means that there is the plague, there is Black Death everywhere. And seeing all the chaos that the humans are going through, the vampires decide, this is our time. You know, we've been hiding in the shadows way too long. We can strike now while humans are weak. And they come out of hiding, out of the shadows, and they basically say, hey, we can kind of heal this problem for you. You got to pay us a little bit of blood, and we will solve this Black Death for you. But at the same time, that means that we now control you on your lands, and yeah, you basically bow down to us. So as Cohen, you have 30 days to save your family, you have to deal with this vampire threat, and at the same time, you are a badass human by day who can use hexes and essentially magic powers, and even talk to corpses. And by night, you are a vampire who can use his claws, walk on walls, teleport a little bit. It's a really cool gameplay loop, and yes, I did not get to play the game. I got to watch an hour-long live gameplay presentation. I'm super into it. Makes me want to replay The Witcher 3 while I wait. Makes me want to rewatch the interview with the vampire show on AMC, dig out my old Anne Rice novels.
Okay.
I'm into it.
That's good.
As I mentioned,
good news.
Cohen has 30 days and nights to save his
So you're on a
family.
timer.
And so there is an in-world clock. It is not one-to-one with real time.
Oh, okay.
But
That's good.
if you are kind of exploring anything, time doesn't move forward then, but it moves forward when you undertake certain missions. So in the UI on the side,
okay.
it'll say, you know, however many days left to save your family, and it'll show you
Okay.
what the
Okay.
day ahead looks like in terms
All
of
right. So that's really good piece of information for us to have because
how long you've got left.
hang on. Let me move my camera because you guys can't see what I see. It's good. It's a good piece of information to have because in the IGN video that I reacted to, they didn't really mention anything about this whole in-game timer. The in-game timer itself, I wasn't sure whether it's works in tandem with like real time or something close to that, or if there's like actual like always on timer that will keep on ticking while you play the game. You know, it's kind of like, you know, day and night cycle, that sort of thing. Like, you know, each time like you go through a day, it resets or something like that. I wasn't sure how that'll work because it's an open world game, which means you are expected to do a lot of exploring. Exploring obviously takes time. It's not like you expected to finish the whole game in 30 real life days, which wouldn't make sense, right? So I wasn't really sure how they have implemented it then in the game. So it's nice to see, and it's nice to hear that what they've really done is while you're doing your own just side questing and exploring, the time is not ticking off. It's actually just an indicator you just see here, but it's not really a one-to-one timer. It just moves on as you do your main quest. That's probably that's what I gathered from what she said just there, and that makes sense. Does that mean? That also then means like, do you have to care about that timer? Is that tied to anything you do? That's what I want to know more about. Because if it's just a timer that's just there for you to see, you don't really have to worry about it, then what's the point of it? That's what I would like to know.
And if you pick a certain mission, it'll say, hey, it'll cost you this amount of time.
Oh, okay.
And that's how much will progress
I spoke
if you
too soon.
undertake that mission, if you do that certain thing. Okay. I think that is really cool. I also kind of panic a little bit because I really enjoy in an open world game just kind of doing everything.
Yep.
And the way that it seems that the Blood of Dawnwalker is set up is that it is supposed to encourage replayability. There are a lot of different choices you can make, decisions. You could accidentally kill someone who might be important to you, and so you might not
like in
even
Adamfall.
encounter certain characters in a playthrough. That is very exciting to me. But at the same time, I kind of have that like anxious energy where it's like, oh my God, time is running out. I won't be able to get to do everything. However, one thing I did actually really, really enjoy is the gameplay options that were showcased. So Cohen, during the day, I was kind of worried about this. I was worried that human Cohen would be kind of boring to play as. He would just be what, a dude with a sword? No, he is a dude with a sword who can also do magic, and he has runes carved into his hand, and so he has pocket sand, essentially. But he can also cast certain hexes in battle. So there's one where he basically made a guy's blood boil inside of him. And he can also talk to the dead, which has really cool gameplay implications. So we saw when he was investigating something for the main mission that he was following.
Okay.
There was no one around to ask. However, there was a dead corpse of something. And he questioned it. And that was, you can kind of compel them to answer, kind of using brute force a little bit, or like the force of the mind. But you can also find items that belong to the body that will connect them back to their humanity a little bit and make them remember and make them want to talk to you, which I thought was a really cool mechanic. So yes, human Cohen, not going to be as powerful. For example, he has a stamina bar, so he gets tired. He needs...
Yeah, so that's a pretty cool thing. I was also worried about that whole thing as well. That human Cohen is going to be pretty freaking boring to be played as. But it seems it's not the case. They actually done a pretty good job balancing it out between human Cohen and vampire Cohen. Makes sense.
Eat to replenish his health. However, he does have magic, so he's got that going for him. Vampire Cohen, there was so much cool stuff in there. So we did interview Rafael and Piotr, who's a lead quest designer and narrative designer, and we were asking about different vampire tropes, what was and wasn't on the table. So for example, this is not in the final game, but they were toying with the fact that if you're a vampire, you wouldn't be allowed in certain areas if you weren't invited. But obviously for gameplay, they got rid of that.
Okay.
However,
That would have been much tougher gameplay. That would have been much tougher. So if you had to be invited into every place as a vampire at night, that would have been much tougher. Or even like generally. But it would have also made the gameplay kind of exciting in a way. Like if you could nail that mechanic, like you had to like persuade people to let you into places. Would have been kind of cool actually.
what he can do is he has these giant claws that he can slash with. He can also use a sword. Of course, he's not going to lose that ability, but you kind of have the scrappy, more animalistic fighting with your claws. Instead of eating, you obviously have to drink from people. You can do that in the middle of battle, or you can kind of skulk around. And if you don't drink enough blood, you basically go mad and have a bloodlust and just kind of go after anyone who's near you, which I thought was pretty cool. Kat just asked me, does he sleep? That was literally the first question that I asked. No, he doesn't need to sleep, because during the day, he's human, and then he undergoes the transformation to become a vampire, and so he doesn't really have time to sleep, because he also has to save his family. He can also walk on walls. He can kind of, if you know in Dishonored 2, the far reach ability, he kind of has a little teleport that's like that.
Yeah.
A lot of cool vampire appropriate things. Also, I thought the way that you make vampires in this game is really cool and unique. You basically have to take the tooth out of a vampire and stab it in your heart, and that's what turns you into a vampire, which I just thought was neat. So like I said, this was a hands-off demo. Did not get to play it, so I can't speak to
They're trying new concepts here, which I really love.
What we did get to see was the same mission approached from two very, very different angles. The mission was to find the Sword of Mihai, who is a saint in the region, and basically doing a little bit of detective work to figure out where the sword is and how to get to it. So human Cohen was asking around, talking to people, eventually ending up underground in a weird crypt thing with perhaps a creature who you may or may not have to take out. Whereas Vampire Cohen is doing a lot more sleuthing. He is breaking into places, he is walking up walls and teleporting through windows and skulking in the shadows and in the rafters at the same time to uncover the same information. So it's two very different paths. And this kind of brings me back to my anxiety of wanting to see and experience everything, because both paths were really cool. And I was really glad that I got to see both of them play out. But in my gameplay, I'm gonna maybe have a little bit of choice paralysis. But I think that's a good thing. It does encourage me to play it again. And then, like I said, because I didn't play it, the stuff I can't really speak to, I can't tell you how combat feels. There's a whole adaptive combat mechanics and different ways to approach sword gameplay.
It looks neat.
I'm just excited about this game. Witcher 3 is one of my favorite games of all time. Like I said, this really scratches the itch. However, in leaning into vampires and taking cool pieces from vampire lore, having branching storylines, having, a clique of vampires, each with their own different unique personality types. So you've got, like Lady Xanthe, who's the oldest vampire. Then you have a guy who, let's call a spade, he looks a lot like Lestat. And then you have another one who's from the Mongolian Empire. I really want to see and get to know them. There's a reputation system. There's so much that they are packing into this game. And I just want to see more of it. So sorry if that wasn't like a, hey, here's how this game plays thing. This is more of just a, game looks cool, man. I don't know, I'm into vampires. I'm excited to see more. Anyway, so that's what I saw in the Blood Dawnwalker presentation. We're at Gamescom, and hopefully we'll get to see more of the game soon. Keep it GameSpot.
Yeah, all right. That's pretty much what I hope to see. Hope to hear about the game from what I have seen so far as well. I don't believe they've exposed too much of what the gameplay is and everything, but given what she has seen, what IGN has said about the game as well, it looks to be a promising new IP for Rebel Wolves, and for them it's their first game, but for us gamers, it's probably going to be a very exciting new IP, which is fantastic. We can always appreciate a new IP that's done really well, and coming from the fact that this is from a Witcher devs from CDPR, I gotta assume that they know what they're doing, especially with the combat system, especially with this kind of medieval settings, which is nothing new for them. So the fact that it feels like a little bit Witcher 3 with vampires. That's no surprise. But it's also not a bad thing. It's a pretty good thing. That means they're leaning into what they know how to do well, and they're sort of adding onto it and trying on new concepts on top of it, which is fantastic. Which is what we want. They're not exactly playing it safe, but they're also making sure that they're playing into their strengths and also trying something new there, which is awesome. Which is really awesome. And the fact that these video game journalists are hyped about the game, that's actually good. That's pretty promising, to be honest. So I'm keen to see actual gameplay, maybe a demo, if that's something they would do down the line. If not, at least more gameplay showing the more combat and how that vampire versus human sides work, that sort of stuff. I would like to see more of that. The reputation system that she mentioned, I would like to see more of that stuff. That would be pretty neat to be able to have a look, so we can get a better idea of what the game is actually about and what that actually feels like, at least. So yeah, what do you guys think of this game? I'm actually pretty hyped for this game. I don't know. I don't think they released. They have a release date for this game, do they? The Blood of the Dawn Walker release date. No, they just said 2026, so they haven't really set a release date for this game, which is fine. I hope it doesn't face any delays and actually get released next year. I'm pretty keen to play this game. This is one of the hyped games that I'm really hyped for next year. So we'll see how that turns out, huh? Only time will tell, as I always say.
Why should you?
Anyhow. So yeah, and I do have another game that I want to talk about, which is Where Winds Meet. Where Winds Meet is one of those games that you kind of hear from time to time. You get some random trailers get dropped, and then you get really excited about it, and then there's really not much happens. But it's a video game that's made by Eastern devs. Where Winds Meet. Show you what it means. It's this game. I have talked about this numerous times, and it looks pretty promising. There was there were 80 minutes of gameplay, which I did a reaction to as well. Looked pretty promising. It's a ancient Chinese wuxia style combat gameplay with like an open world element to it, which is awesome. There was a closed beta that happened a while back. I didn't get to be a part of that, but it's an open world. Apparently, that could take you 150 hours to fully explore. That looks like it might be a pretty huge game. I wasn't expecting it to be that long, to be honest, from what I have seen, but it looks like there might be more to it than what we expected. So let's check out what they're saying. This was a video that IGN put out talking about this whole topic. So let's see if there's any information about that. Oh.
Video right here on IGN, where Winds Meet was one of the biggest games of the show when it was revealed back in 2022, and it's been high on a lot of players' wish lists ever since. Here to share some wisdom about this epic kung fu open world, I'm joined by Eric Zhang, head of Where Winds Meet's publishing, and Raven, who will be doing the translating for us. Hi, guys.
Cool.
Hi, I'm Eric.
Hi, Eric. So, it might be helpful if I had my card with me. So how's the closed beta feedback and its release in China helped with its upcoming release?
好，那么首先就是你们上一轮 CBT 的这个反馈就是怎么样，以及它对于你们接下来在中国这边的运营就是有什么样的影响？
首先我们上一轮收获了非常惊喜的反馈，不管是我们产品的一个后台的实时数据，还是说我们喜爱我们的玩家们在 SNS 上的各种分享和发言，都对我们游戏表达了非常热烈的反馈。那一方面，这些热情呢，也让我们决定要加紧我们的速度，尽快完成我们产品的一个上线，早日与大家去见面。
Is that new gameplay? I don't know if I have seen this.
So we've had a
Maybe
lot
I
of
have.
surprising
Oh yeah, we
feedback
did.
from players.
It's from
and
the
it's all
reveal
very
trailers.
exciting. Both in terms of all the data we collected on the back end, but also in terms of all of the comments that players had for us on all the social media. And it's been very exciting for us, and it's also been a factor in making us decide to push forward the release date to deliver the game earlier to players.
That's always good news. Earlier is always better.
That's cool.
How about Black Myth Wukong? What about that game and other Chinese action-adventure games has influenced either your game design or your release strategy in the West?
好，这当然能够早点上线，我们大家都非常殷切的希望能够见到。那么我们谈谈《黑神话：悟空》之前这款游戏，像这款游戏以及其他的中国的这些动作冒险游戏，
He's saying a lot more than what she asked.
游戏的这个开发本身和在西方推出这方面有没有怎么样的影响？
首先我们非常高兴的看到有越来越多受欢迎的游戏作品的推出，那我们也当然非常希望自己也能成为其中的一员。但是呢，我们产品其实从2019年就已经开始立项了。那对于这样一个如何把武侠和开放世界融合好的这样的一个挑战，其实是前所未有的。所以我们在这段时间里面，就是一直以来更多的可能会关注我们自己怎么样把这样的一个产品表达好。那其实像
This game looks pretty sick, to be honest. I'm so hyped to explore this world. It looks so sick.
所以我们一直
And I've always been a fan of like
更多的去完
wuxia
成自己的这样一个挑战的一个命
games,
题。
wuxia style combat.
Right. So first
Like,
of all,
you know-
I'm really happy for all of the games that, all of these amazing games that have been developed and been released and been so welcomed by the player population. As for our own game, we started this project originally in 2019. So a lot of our thoughts were concerned on the idea of how to implement our theme of wuxia and to have it, integrate, fuse seamlessly with the open world. So a lot of our focus throughout the last 5 years has been, how exactly to make the game exactly the way we want. And so like we like to say back in the day in China, you have to kind of stick by your original aspirations in order to walk the grand path to its end, to have this, grand.
Damn, some philosophy. Dude,
Excellent.
drop
Yeah,
some
Stay true to
philosophy.
yourself, right?
Yes.
So Where Winds Meet is set during the 10th century China, an era Chinese audiences are probably familiar with, but Western audiences may not. How do you go about introducing Western players to historical figures, innate cultural references, and localization and onboarding?
那好了，因为这个游戏我们知道它时代是发生在第10世纪，那对于中国玩家来说，可能对于这个时代是会比较熟悉了。但是对这个历史没有什么了解的西方玩家来说，你要怎么样去给他们介绍，通过本地化或者是什么翻译的方式去给他们介绍这个时代的一些背景人物啊，还有一些文化的一些援引啊，等等。
首先可能我想补充一点，就这个朝代呢，可能不仅说对于很多西方的玩家，可能包括中国的很多玩家对这个朝代的涉猎也比较少，因为它在中国的一些文学作品或者电影电视剧里面改编的数量，对比熟知的唐朝、宋朝是非常少的。对，所以那我们其实面临的任务呢，我觉得都是一样的，如何把这个朝代里面这些非常有时代张力的英雄的故事能够好好的讲给我们全球的玩家去听，这一直是我们的一个任务和挑战。那具体到我们怎么样让海外的玩家去理解很多比如说武侠的或者说朝代的一个背景呢？我觉得其实这里面我们也有很多是源自于我们玩家给我们的一些建议。对，然后包括可能给您举一个非常有意思的例子，就是我们游戏里面的时间在中国是用的中国传统的计时，就子丑寅卯这样一个非常传统的计时方式。
Just give up a little bit
但是
of
我们考虑
Wukong
到
vibe.
可能海
You
外
know
的
the
用
cave
户比较
missions?
难去理解这样的一个设计，所以我们把它转换成了动物的形式，比如说
It's pretty cool.
子就对应的是老鼠，它就是中国传统的12生肖。那我们用这样的一些图案
The
去
movement
表
is
达
pretty
就能
cool,
更好的
though.
让用户理解这背后
Gotta
的一
give
个
them
含
that.
义，同时保留原本的原汁原味的韵味。
Right. So, to dovetail off of the comment that you just made, I think it's not just about Western players, but even for Chinese players, I think the 5 dynasties and 10 states period of time is a very niche period in history because due to the fact that it has less depictions, both in terms of cultural media and also in terms of films and movies, films and TV. So much less so than the more well-known Tang and Song dynasties. So I think our goal for both is essentially the same, is namely in how we would tell this heroic story with this tension of the spirit of the times, how we would deliver that to both our domestic audiences and a global audience. So I think focusing a little bit more on Western players, I think a lot of the feedback from players that we've garnered has been very helpful toward us being able to localize all of these cultural, I guess, elements or historic elements to them. So
you can
for
swim.
Instance, in game
That's good to know.
kind of preserve
You
the
don't drown.
authenticity of the era, we use a time and hour system that's based on these different characters that correspond to each hour instead of 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. But that turned out to be something that's very hard to kind of localize for Western audiences. So what we did instead is we associated each character, these hours, to a different animal. So these correspond to the 12 animals that correspond to each year. So that's what we did.
Excellent.
Oh, okay.
So diving a little bit into the gameplay, the world seems massive from what I've seen video-wise. How much freedom do we have when exploring how much freedom do we have while exploring the world?
It looks to be pretty huge
好，
though.
那讲一讲游戏玩法方面，我们知道这个游戏
Kinda
世
looks
界
a
是
bit
非常
like
庞大。那么玩家在
Rise
这
of
个
the
探索
Ronin
的时候自由度有多大？
这个
But
自由
like
度其实是
a little
非
bit
常
better
大的。
looking.
那当然，我们提供了非常多选择
Remember Rise of the
给我们
Ronin?
玩
That
家
game was
就
actually
是
pretty good
我
in
们
terms of
单人游
combat.
戏大概
It looks so
150个小时
looked
的时长
terrible
可以去体
for a
验。
PS5
当然，这个
game.
时间不是说你必须要去完成，
This
而是
game
你
looks
可
to
以
be a lot
按你的
better
兴趣
looking.
去做。那我们的开放度呢，除了玩家可以自由的学习各种武学去战斗以
Still
外，
not like
我们在
Black Myth
生活层
Wukong
面
level
和
looking,
NPC 的
but it
交互
looks
上也
still
有
looks
大
pretty
量的
good.
这样的一些自由的玩法可以去做。举个例子，比如说我们游戏里面的
Hopefully they
NPC，
make it-
你跟他
may
交
polish
谈
it
的
up
内
more.
容可能会影响这个 NPC 的一个好感度。那如果你和他交恶的话，这 NPC 可能会
There's
来
a lot
攻
of
击你，
popping,
甚至可能带动
texture
他全
popping.
村一起来追赶你。对，然后当然你也可以选择震荡反位。
I don't know if you see, but there's a lot of texture popping happening in the field, even as close as like right here. If you just keep going back. I know this is still a game in development, so I'm just gonna cut them some slack, but I just
可能
needed
带动
to
他全村一起来追
point
赶
that
你。
out. Like
对，然后当然你也可以选择
texture
震荡
popping
防卫，防卫之后可能呢也会有
Yeah
官府来追你。那你也可以选择
It's-
呢，
it
就
is
是
an
就
open
此
world game,
逃
so
离
it
远
is-
遁。
there's
但可能
probably
你
a lot
跟
of
这 NPC 的
polishing
关
up
系
to
呢就
do.
会发生一些有趣的变化。
Right. So we offer a great deal of freedom in terms of letting the player be able to explore this huge world as they will. And we also give them a lot of choices in this regard. So we know that the single player campaign, it has a total of around 150 hours of content. So none of this is mandatory. You don't have to play all of it, but players can, based on their pace
150
and
hours.
their enjoyment of the narrative, they can choose to play the single player campaign at their own leisure. And in terms of the freedom, in terms of this freedom of this open world, I think it also extends to also the player's ability to learn whatever abilities and skills they want to build the kind of the combat mechanics, the type of combat styles
Whoa,
that they
your
want.
Flash!
But it also, on top of all of that,
Whoa,
it's
look at that
also
running!
kind of exemplified in the way that players
Bruh.
are able to interact with the non-player characters. So, for instance, when you
Hang on a second. He's running really fast and also slow at the same time. How does that work? How does that work? Gotta watch that again. Look how fast he's running, but also how slow. It took him to go from here to all the way down there, like good 3 to 4 seconds. Maybe like 5 seconds. But that's how much time it takes if you just normally run that distance.
that. It's also kind of exemplified in the way that players are able to interact with
What's the point of
non-player
this?
characters. So, for instance, when you engage in dialogue with a random villager, you have a
Oh, that's a
internal
long
reputation
slide.
system that goes along with
Again,
that.
that
So
slide
by saying
that slide is it's the same speed as the actual running. Yeah, they gotta polish that up a
the
bit.
wrong things to them, it could lead to you having such a poor reputation that they decide to become hostile essentially to you, and they might even attack you or lead their entire village to go ham, to go aggressive on your ass. So and in those situations, you could choose to defend yourself, which could in turn lead to law enforcement trying to arrest you. So that could cause a whole chain reaction of these interesting interactions.
I feel like I'm going to have a lot of fun just angering a lot of people and just having a bunch of people chasing me.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, with that, so where winds meet release?
好，我想我也是迫不及待的希望就是能够看到就是全村人追
They
赶
don't know
的
yet.
那个戏
They
剧
don't know
画
yet.
面。那么燕云16神它的是准备什么时候推出？什么时候上线？
在这里我们也给大家宣布一个非常重要的消息，就是我们已经决定在11
The
月
game looks
14
pretty
日太
amazing
平洋
though,
时
but
间
there's a lot of
正式
texture
上线
popping.
所以现在呢，大家就可以去我们的游戏官网、PlayStation、Steam 以及 Epic 商城进行预约以及添加心愿单。非常期待
A lot
届
of
时
texture
与各位
popping.
玩家在游戏的世界里面相逢。谢谢。
Oh wow, okay.
Right. So on that front, we do have an exciting announcement to make. Our game will be officially releasing on November the 14th Pacific time. So we would welcome all of you to go to our official site, to go to the PlayStation or Steam and Epic
Whoa,
storefronts. to,
whoa. Dude, it's coming early actually. November. It's not coming next year, it's coming this year. That's even better news, man. We have something to play in November. I don't know what else is releasing in November off the top of my head, but that is, I mean, I always take a game early if it's possible. Hopefully they can actually polish this game by then, because it does look like it have a lot more work to do.
And wishlist our game if you will, and we will see you all in game very soon.
That's amazing.
Nice.
November 14th. Eric, thank you so much. Where Winds Meets will be coming to PS5 and PC next year. Coming out to November 14th.
Yep.
You can wish list it right now on Steam at the official Gamescom Steam event. There's more Gamescom Studio on the way right here on IGN.
Very nice. Very nice. I love that they actually moving the date forward, the release date forward, because they were going to release in 2026, and now they are pretty confident that they can release the game in November 14th, which is fantastic news. It's not even December, it's like actually straight up the first couple of weeks of November, which is pretty amazing news. They might have, gave us a buffer date when they said 2026, knowing they can probably release early. It's always, better to under promise and over deliver, I guess. But all in all, that's good news. But I'm not sure whether they will be able to stick to that date, because at the end of the day, they need to make sure they actually polish everything up and that it's in a good state at the time of its launch. Right now, the game might be fantastic in terms of gameplay and all that, but I did saw some technical issues. There's not a lot, but there were obvious technical issues that they need to work on, which I'm sure they have plenty of time now between now and November to work on those. Hopefully we get to see another version of this game with more polished version of this game, so we can more accurately judge the game before it comes out. Yeah, pretty exciting stuff. What do you guys think of this game, Where Winds Meet? I'm pretty keen to actually play the game. Like I was saying before, I loved wuxia style combat. Huge fan of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. If you know what I'm talking about, you know. If you know, you know. Yeah, it's pretty great that they're doing something like that as in a game, because I don't think we haven't ever gotten a game like this that's also appealing to the Western audience, like pretty huge open world and stuff like that. We did have Rise of the Ronin, which is, I would say, pretty similar, but it looked terrible. The gameplay was pretty good, but for a full AAA title game coming out on PS5 in 2024, that was pretty terrible. I think these guys might be doing a much better job at that, doing something similar in the same style, and I'm keen to see more of it. I'm here for it, dude. I'm here for it. So hopefully you'll see more of it. Yeah. There is another game. Yeah, so there's more Gamescom videos that I want to be checking out. Give me 1 second. All right. Okay. All right. Yeah. So there's more. There is more to Gamescom videos from IGN that I want to check out. There's one more. They were talking about Crimson Desert. If you know what that game is, that's also one of the games that I've been really, really, really hyped about because it's genuinely one of those very promising videos that kind of flying under the radar at the moment. I feel like, I mean, people who know about the game, they're pretty excited about it, but I think most people still kind of finding out about the game. There's not a lot of chatter about the game on the internet, I think, but I think the game is slowly gaining a little bit more traction in that regard. But right now, I think, I don't think it's getting enough momentum, but I think it's gonna end up being one of those like really well done games that everyone's gonna end up talking about. So I'm really keen to see more of it. For those who don't know what Crimson Desert is, as I mentioned before, it's a game developed by the same people who made Black Desert Online, which is a MMORPG. But this is not an MMO. It's a open world single player game, which is set in the same universe as Crimson Desert, I believe. But yeah, it's called Black Desert. It's set in the same universe, but it's not really directly the same thing. It's very different. I think it's because they started off as, this supposed to be something that's directly related to Crimson Desert, but then they kind of evolved into this open world game that we all really excited about. I'm very specifically keen to see the game, play the game, because of its very new style of combat. It's something not very different, but it's different enough to what I have seen in other combat in other games, and it feels very fresh. And I want to check it out because from what I have heard other people say about the game, who have played, who have got their hands on the game in early playtest and stuff like that, they had nothing but praise for the game. So I kind of want to see what's up. And there's a new IGN video talking about why you should be excited about Crimson Desert's open world. And I want to hear what they have to say because I'm already excited about the game. And I want to see what their reasoning for this is. So let's check it out.
You are watching Gamescom Studio on IGN. It has been more than half a decade since Crimson Desert was first revealed, but next year players will finally get to set foot in the realm of Pywell in this epic-looking single-player RPG. Here to tell us what's in store, Libby Park and Will Powers from Pearl Abyss. Welcome.
Thank you, Max.
Okay, so this is this is a beautiful-looking game. I think a lot of people were blown away by that initial reveal. At Gamescom, you're showing off this game in action properly, and it looks really fun. I want to know what's going on in this world and what's at stake here. Who are we? What are we doing?
Well, let's start by talking about what we're doing at Gamescom. Libby built the booth with her own two hands, so...
Yes, I did it. Alone, all by myself. Jokes, yes. Yeah, so
Awkward.
The concept of the booth itself, if I start with our booth design, it was heavily inspired by the actual castle that exists within the build we are showing at the Gamescom this year. So this is the castle that you are actually going to have this final boss within the build. Final boss combat, and we wanted to, since the build, this hands-on build is pretty immersive enough, we wanted to actually drag out that immersiveness for the fans. So we we tried our best to build this
Why does
the
this game
actual
video look so shit?
realistic enough looking castle like
You've got a tavern, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and the tavern. That actually the tavern itself also exists, not the exact design, but also the concept of the tavern actually also exists in our game, so people can find out once we launch our game. So yeah, the focus and goal was immersive.
You're watching YouTube.
All right, so
But
I
did
have
you
an
know
ad
there's a
playing
YouTube
because
music
I don't
app
have
where you can
premium.
Listen to rare covers of your.
And
anyway.
so what we've shown up to this point has mostly been focused on combat. This build's really special because this is the first point where we're pulling back the curtain and showing what the plot of the game's about. You're getting your first chance to see the open world and kind of roam around in it. And players are seeing this for the first time. And what's so cool, you said the game's beautiful. Thank you, by the way. But everything you see is explorable. Anything you see, I get to do
That
the
is
Todd
pretty
Howard
cool.
thing. If you see it, you can go there. You can climb that mountain.
That's a huge
Nice.
promise.
Now let's talk about who we're playing as.
But also
Who's the
pretty exciting.
protagonist?
So that's Cliff. He is in a mercenary group called the Greymanes, who are fighting to have and bring back really safety to this continent of Pywell. They're in a struggle against an opposing faction called the Drunken Black Bears.
Okay, that sounds like a formidable foe, an inebriated Ursine. Yeah, I want to talk about Black Desert Online has maybe the most impressive character creator I've ever seen in a game. What was behind the decision to have a bespoke protagonist here, and I guess how much customization will players have over him, like outfits, abilities,
That's pretty cool.
skills, all that?
It's a bespoke character.
So, thank you, by the way. Black Desert, award-winning character creator, and I think that's one of the reasons why we're not calling this an RPG, because we feel like there's a lot of connotations associated with that word, whether it's creating your own character and role-playing as them, or experience points and leveling up systems. Those aren't in this game.
Oh, okay.
So that's why we're not calling it an RPG. We're calling it an open-world action-adventure game. But there is still a lot of customization that players can have over Cliff, not just cosmetically.
So I gotta obviously stop there, right there, because let's talk a little bit about what that guy just said, because
leveling up systems, those aren't in this game.
Oh, okay.
So that's a lot of connotations associated with that word, whether it's creating your own character and role-playing as them, or experience points and leveling up systems. Those aren't in this game.
Oh, okay.
So that's why
experience points and leveling up aren't in this game.
We're not calling it an RPG. We're calling it an open-world action-adventure game.
It's not an RPG. It's an open-world action-adventure game.
But there is still a lot of customization that players can have over Cliff. Not just cosmetically, as well as stat points over his armor and how he looks, but also in kind of how they play as their character.
Okay, so this is interesting because, all right, so they don't want to call it an RPG themselves because it's not going to be character role-playing. No role-playing, even though they have a they have pretty detailed character creator where you create your own character. There's no role-playing, so you just have this open world where you can do a lot of side quests and basically explore and do missions and experience a story as the character that you made. But it's not a role-playing games because there's no leveling up your character or stuff like that. You're just experiencing the story. So in a way, it is kind of an RPG, but there's no character level progression. I don't really know how that will come into play here because I don't know what that means, dude. I feel like there was... I don't know. I'm a little confused by that statement. I all this time I thought it was a bit of an RPG. Obviously, it's open world. There's a lot of combat. You have your own character. If they're not doing character level or experience, like level progression or experience points or whatever it is, how are they implementing progress in this game? Or is it just you just get your own, like you get different gears throughout the story, different, weapons and gear that you wear throughout the story, but there's nothing to level up. You just like acquire gear and then you equip them. So does that mean like, I don't know. I'm not sure what that means. If I'm missing something, just let me know, because I don't really know. Doesn't make sense to me.
Character, whether you're leveling a skill tree in a certain direction that's aligned with your melee combat or your magic focus or your defensive minded gameplay, you can really make the play style.
Okay, so the progression is directly tied to the combat. That's it. Not to your character. Cool. All right.
Adapt to how you want to play.
Cool. Now, I want to talk about traversal, because obviously a big part of an open world game is just getting around it. And there's some really, like just a second ago, he like turned into something bird-shaped, I guess, and was flying.
Crow's wings.
Tell us about that. Tell us about the different ways you can get around, different mounts, different means of moving.
So traversal is very important in an open world sprawling continent like this. We call it the continent of Highwell because it's so massive. There's a couple really cool things. Obviously, you can run around on foot and see all the details of the world. Horseback. There's wyvern riding. There are dragons in the game that you can fly around in this.
Oh yeah, did I tell you? You can actually ride a dragon in this game. That is freaking cool, dude.
Large.
I gotta give them that.
Abyss. There's even cool ways where you can take magic, bend trees, and like Looney Tunes, you can launch yourself from the tree into the air, soar
That's
through
so cool.
it, and get to the next destination with your wings that are magic imbued. We're not going to go into how you get those wings, but there's magic in the game, so use your imagination.
I like magic. That's fun. Now we've seen some things in the trailer. There's these like almost Tears of the Kingdom style sky islands that look almost like sort of puzzle spaces. Can you talk a little bit about those and how they
lots of particles effects in this game.
The Abyss.
Yes, the aerial abyss. Again, we're trying not to talk too much about story because we don't want to do a lot of spoilers. We want people to play the game and get excited about that. The plot's going to be a central pivotal thing, but
yeah, I appreciate
there are going to be puzzles, things that you're trying to put together around these.
Oh shit! I realized that I'm not showing the gameplay. God damn.
Artifacts and magic within the world.
Let me just scroll back because you missed the whole thing.
You can really make the play style adapt to how you want to play.
Cool. Okay. Now, I want to talk about traversal because obviously a big part of an open world game is just getting around it. And there's some really, like just a second ago, he like turned into something bird-shaped, I guess, and was flying.
Crow's wings.
Tell us about that. Tell us about the different ways you can get around, different mounts, different means of moving.
So traversal is very important in an open world sprawling continent like this. We call it the continent of Highwell because it's so massive.
Sprawling continent.
There's a couple really cool things. Obviously, you can run around on foot and see all the details of the world. Horseback. There's wyvern riding. There are dragons in the game that you can fly around in this
large, you can ride a dragon.
Aerial abyss. There's even cool ways where you can take magic, bend trees, and like Looney Tunes, you can launch yourself from the tree into the air, soar through it, and get to the next destination with your wings that are magic imbued. We're not going to go into how you get those wings, but there's magic in the game, so use your imagination.
I like magic. That's fun. Now we've seen some things in the trailer. There's these like almost Tears of the Kingdom style sky islands that look almost like sort of puzzle spaces. Can you talk a little bit about those and how they come into play?
The Abyss.
The Abyss.
Yes, the aerial abyss. Again, we're trying not to talk too much about story because we don't want to do a lot of spoilers. We want people to play the game and get excited about that. The plot's going to be a central pivotal thing, but there are going to be puzzles, things that you're trying to put together around these artifacts and magic within the world. And those sky islands, as you call them, or the abyss, is going to be a pivotal central part of that. So you saw, and actually you've seen in previous B-roll, diving off the abyss and into the world. We're actually showing that as part of the Gamescom demo. That's how we end our tutorial, and players experience that before they start the demo.
Imagine bringing your side project to life.
All right.
Just by thinking about it. Meet
Sorry for
Base
the ads,
44.
guys.
Oh, that's fun. Now let's talk a little bit about exploration, because you mentioned being able to, climb that mountain over there. A big part of that is exploration is great, but that can, without any kind of goal, just be wandering around. What's out there for people to discover? What is sort of hidden in the world?
We took a lot of inspiration in the open world and the building of that open world from our experience as a developer.
question.
I think, Libby, you can talk about that because you worked on Black Desert when it launched.
Can I use Black Desert as an example?
Yeah.
So, we have enough experience with open world, obviously, and there are so many, still huge community that loves, exploring over, combats, that stressful combats and such. So also, our developers tend to develop the game they wanted to play, genuinely wanted to play. That's why we all want. Point of them. So they really love to hide all those cute elements and all those details in the world. So throughout the world in Black Desert, for now I can say, there are so many hidden chest boxes and all those different elements. Even per region, you can get different type of fish, different type of meat, different type of collectible minerals and everything.
Okay.
So we...
A lot of emphasis on exploration.
Wanted to create those realistic but still interesting enough, unique parts into the world, so you can actually find the village or the area that you definitely more immersed into and set your home camp within that region, etc. So
what she's saying there is pretty interesting, I think, because I think she's trying to say there's a lot of emphasis on the exploration part of the game, which is fantastic. But my concern there is, if it's not tied to the personality of the world, it can end up feeling quite boring. So I mean, from what I have seen so far in terms of gameplay, I think the game does have a little personality, and the world feels pretty alive. So it probably is not going to be a problem. But as you reach far away from the city, the village areas, into mountain tops and the valleys and stuff, that you kind of away from the beaten path, it does still need to maintain that level of personality, that lived-in feel, that immersiveness of the game, rather than just sprinkling random chest boxes and loot everywhere for you to find. That's not why people explore. I mean, it's a reward for exploring, but the reason why you want to go exploring is because you see something interesting in the distance. You see something that you want to check out, and that's why you go there. Not because you want to just search for loot boxes, which I guess is how some people play the games. I am aware of that, but for the most of us, when it comes to exploration, I think what you find is the reward, but what gets you interested is what keeps you playing the game, which is, again, like I mentioned, that personality, that the immersion of the world that keeps you interested. If you have ever played Legend of Zelda, it achieves that pretty well. You keep going, and every time you just go 10 steps ahead, you see something interesting and you want to go check it out. It's kind of like that. Even it's built into their game philosophy, where in any triangular area, they designed the map. So any given point you're at, this within a certain radius, there's always going to be something interesting for you to see, and you're always going to come across something interesting, and that's how you keep the player going. I'm not saying that they have to do it exactly the same way that Zelda did, but if it has that similar philosophy in terms of exploration in the game, I think they would achieve that.
It won't be exactly same for Crimson Desert, but since we shared this vision or this interest in games, so we will definitely hit a lot of surprises throughout the massive land world.
Yeah,
okay.
Even though obviously the genres are very different between MMO and single player action and adventure, the living, breathing open world and how the developers have the experience crafting that that experience is going to directly translate in how they're building this open world.
Got it. I guess I'm curious. Again, I was at a glance. You see like a sword and board third-person game, and it's like it looks like an RPG.
Au contraire, sir.
Yeah, and I'm getting that. But how is the sort of difficulty scaling? Like, if you do have high-level enemies out there, are they even high-level enemies, or are they just hard? Are they?
So,
yeah, good question.
I get very defensive when someone says this is a very hard game. It's not. What they're experiencing, and this is a hard game to demo because what we're showing is a chapter of the game, and it's not the first chapter.
Mm-hmm.
So we're giving people 5 minutes of tutorial to ramp up into several hours into the game. So there's a very steep learning curve for this demo.
Right.
And
you're throwing them in the deep end. Basically.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But we see that after an hour of gameplay, which is what we're showing here, their skill level has increased. So there's a very high skill curve, but there's a very high skill ceiling because the QA team have become masters of this game with tens and tens of hours of experience. They always show me something I didn't even know existed in the game, and I'm always amazed by how masterful they are.
When I start the game, can I just wander off in any direction?
Yes.
Yeah?
I mean, I just like theoretically, yes, in an open world. There's always a question of how do we deal with, then I'll just go to the final boss. In an open world, you activate instances. So you activate boss fights, and those activations aren't eligible until you've met their prerequisites. So whether it's the time of day or something,
this guy's very
shown
passionate
this in
about
our
this game,
boss fight
which
build,
is a good sign.
Where you go to a certain place and then you wait. There's a prompt. If you haven't had those prerequisites, then that prompt isn't there. So you can't just zoom to the end.
Gotcha.
But in terms of the open world, I mean, up to a certain extent, you can explore it.
Okay.
Again, we haven't revealed the scope and scale of everything yet, but it is an open world.
What are your personal favorite details in this game? Like, what is like one little thing that you just want to make everyone pay attention to?
Good question.
I need more time.
You need more time. There's so many things. I really, really love, and this, I promise this isn't a cop-out answer. We've demoed this game so many times for so many people, and because of the way that the technology and our proprietary engine works that we built this game upon, every time you load into it, the weather, the temperature, everything is different. And those aren't just cosmetic details. If you see on the bottom left of the screen, that temperature, if you start this demo on the top of a mountain, if that's under 0 degrees Celsius, you start seeing breath. Come out, you zoom in, and you can see Cliff's breath. Frost starts developing on his beard. There are certain of those elements, I'm not going to tell you right now, that affect gameplay. So it's really cool and extremely hard to demo when every time you load into the game, it's different. You can't consistently show off the same things. But it makes it exciting, and it makes it rewarding to show it off because it's different every time.
Sweet.
That's cool.
When is this game coming out? I want to play it.
Detailed weather system.
She's not getting out of her answering her favorite thing.
What's your detail? You had plenty of time. He was covering for you, run interference.
Oops. I actually really love the weather in game, if it makes sense, because of thanks to our primary engine. They can do all these crazy magics. I personally, our lives, day-to-day lives are so stressful, and I'm living in Netherlands with the very bad weather throughout the year.
To weather.
So, but in game, the sunset looks amazing. The reflection on the surface.
I like a good
water
sunset.
is
That's a good thing to point out.
Whenever I just
the Witcher sunsets were the best. I love sunsets in Witcher.
Beautiful sceneries,
Witcher 3.
Still makes me feel, oh my god, this is the baby we are
Red Dead Redemption had
here.
Well, that is an underappreciated thing about open world games is do you want to go to this world? Like, is it a place you want to spend 100 hours or whatever? Like, that's important. That's something worth considering.
On top of that, whenever our studio, they're so excited to explain what they actually implemented this round of the build. So it's so, for me, I'm not the dev, so I cannot understand all those details, but their excitement and the things they're focusing on, it's alien-y language, but it's so beautiful in a way.
Based on what I'm seeing here, it seems like they've been keeping pretty busy. So I'm dying. Again, when can I play this game? Do we have a...
Yes, we do have a release window.
Oh, release
Crimson
window.
Desert, you will be able to play it in Q1 2026, available on PC, natively on Mac, as well as on console, PS5, and Xbox Series X and X.
This is going to be available natively on Mac? That's impressive, dude, for how good the game looks.
Yes.
Perfect. That is just in time for my seasonal affective disorder. Crimson Desert, hitting PS5, Xbox Series, and PC, and Mac early next year. But right now, there's more Gamescom Studio on IGN coming up. Stick around.
Mac natively. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. All right. I mean, I'm hyped for it. The fact that it's coming early 2026, that's actually perfect window. I don't think there will be any huge games releasing at that time. So that's a good time for this game to come out, and it'll be a pretty good filler for that season to cover. I think if this game is going to be as expected, it would keep me busy for many months. Many months. I'm probably going to spend a lot of time playing that game, if it's going to be anything as they say. Oh man, it's going to be a pretty good next year. Towards the end of this year, it's going to be pretty good. It's already a pretty good year this year. Hopefully, it looks like the trend's going to continue for 2026, which is awesome. We have Where Winds Meet coming in November. That's good. That'll keep me busy for a month or two. I mean, 150 hours to finish the game, bro. Where Winds Meet. Yeah, maybe more than a month or two. I'm not sure whether I'll actually finish the game, but I'll probably end up sinking in many hours into that game too, and be done with it right in time to jump into Crimson Desert, which is awesome. It's a good time, man. It's a very good time. Amazing. Are you guys hyped for this game? Let me know if you are, because I think it is pretty freaking fantastic. All right. I think I do have another video to go through. In Gamescom, we saw a game called Valor Mortis, which is a first-person Souls-like game. I thought it was very interesting, but I wasn't sure how it actually works as a Souls-like game in first person, because all the Souls-like we have seen so far has been third person, and kind of works better in that mode because how hard those games tend to be. So it is interesting to see how a Souls-like game could work in a first-person setting, which is exactly what Valor Mortis is trying to do. We have a video from IGN talking about how the game works, which I thought would be pretty interesting to look at. So let's jump in.
One of the most exciting announcements at this year's opening night live was Valor Mortis, a first-person Souls-like game from One More Level. And I'm here to talk to the game's director, Radoslav, all about the game. Now, what is a first-person Souls-like?
Well, so it's basically our new approach to this genre, because we are creators of Ghost Runner. So this DNA is also visible here. You have, on the one hand, you have gameplay mechanics that are kind of familiar for the Souls-like genre, like stamina-based combat system, like checkpoint system, and of course interconnected levels. There are some Metroidvania elements in our games. You're unlocking new abilities. You will be revisiting some locations and unlocking some new paths, new secrets. And on top of that, you have this DNA of Ghost Runner, the pure action, excitement.
I can see that. I can totally see Ghost Runner DNA in there.
We are pushing this genre forward a little bit, because what kills genre is the stagnation. and we would like to push it forward a little bit.
Yes, there are far too many third-person Souls-likes, and seeing the Souls-like formula injected into a first-person game is very refreshing, but I do wonder how stuff like the dodging mechanics work. For instance, in Dark Souls, you have rolls with iframes and stuff. How does dodging work in first person? I presume there's no rolls, because that would get very confusing.
That's true. There are no rolls, but we have iframes for the fans of Dark Souls and other games, other Souls-likes. I mean, it's the mechanic that is very crucial. I mean, when you are dodging, we are indicating it to the players with this kind of on-screen effect and a sound cue, so you know when these iframes are clicking exactly. So you can feel it basically without watching it, because you know this is also main difference. You are the hero. You are not observing your character fighting. You are basically feeling that the tension, the immersion is much higher in the first person. You feel every blow from the enemy. When you dodge the bullet by the inches, it's also something very special for the players, and we think it's something refreshing, breath of fresh air for the Souls-likes.
Yeah, it definitely does. And there is a fresh mechanic really where you are balancing, it looks like, pistol play with sword play. How does this mechanic work? A kind of parrying system, is it, or a finisher move?
Oh, it's quite complex. I mean, we have this dual wielding mechanic. So on one hand, you always are carrying your saber, and on your left hand, you are carrying your pistol or your basically hand, but with a superpower. I mean, supernatural power that we call transmutations. You can cast a flame basically from your hand, and combination of it during the combat is crucial. With your handgun, you can aim for the weak points on the enemies to deal massive damage, and some enemies got them on different spots. And also combining with parry system with your saber, this is the key to success in our combat.
Are there different kinds of classes in this game, or do you just play as this one class with the saber and the pistol and the flames?
Basically, you play as a soldier. This is the soldier class, but we are not a regular soldier. I mean, there is, in our world of the game, there is this corruption that is consuming the world. We call it neptoglobin. It's this living essence that is corrupting everything it touches, and also it has some influence on us. We are not turned into the mutant or abomination, but we are gathering some supernatural powers, and thanks to that, we are very capable soldier.
Now, I was wondering about this neptoglobin stuff. Like, is this what you use to level up? Because in traditional Souls-like games, you have maybe souls or runes, and then you would rest at a fire or a
That's the
site
typical
of grace.
formula.
How does leveling up work in this game?
Well, it's kind of similar. I mean, in our game, it's more like the catalyst of this neptoglobin. Like, it looks like a shard, something like that, that you are gathering, and you can spend them on the lanterns. Lanterns are our checkpoints, so it's kind of regular, typical for the genre.
So it is pretty
leveling
similar.
But of course, there is a little bit more. We have a skill tree where you have play, so you can choose which kind of playstyle you prefer to enhance. And if you are a master of the saber, you can add some points to stamina, probably, to be able to dodge very fast. So yeah, so it's it depends. It's not like we are forcing the player to play a certain play style, but yeah, so player can choose whether they like.
Sure. Now, there is a lot of body horror going on in the trailer, a lot of gore. I'm guessing this game isn't for the faint of heart. There is going to be...
Oh, well, if you're playing a Souls-like game...
A mature-rated game. Even the trailer itself started off with someone getting their head blown off. Like, this is not shying away from violence or gore at all, is it?
No,
I love that.
It's quite gory.
I love the not censoring.
Yeah, there is a
that.
lot of blood. I mean, the theme of war and the horrors of war that is quite strong in our game. It's not a beautiful theme, right? There is this cruelty on that. There is this nightmare. There is this burden of being a witness of war events, and it doesn't look pretty. I mean, it looks pretty on the way, but on the other way,
So are these mutations kind of like a metaphor about war, or?
It is a little bit metaphoric. I mean, you see this physical horror, like these abominations, but on the other hand, the theme of war and being this small cog in the war machinery, this is also the other thing, this psychological aspect of war, that there are no true winners in war. That's our message. I mean, everyone loses something. Either it's their lives, or maybe their humanity.
Right. Now,
Yeah.
you did mention a little bit about a Metroidvania
Giving out a lot of
style
information
level
about the game,
design
which is
earlier on.
fantastic.
In a lot of Souls-likes, they're not true Metroidvanias. You're more wandering around unlocking shortcuts. I presume that's true in this game as well, but as you said, Metroidvania, is there more to explore, more to find, secret areas, things like this?
Exactly. There is more than that. There is more than shortcuts. It's not visible in the demo level, because demo level is more like a tutorial, but on the later stages of the game, for example, when you will be exploring, let's call it location number 5, you will get the ability that will allow you to open some paths, or location number 2, for example. So you can travel between the lanterns of that are placed in the game.
So it's like very similar to what they're doing with like games like Ratchet and Clank, where you have like these areas. I mean, even Black Myth Wukong, they had similar things happening as well. I remember there were areas that you couldn't go to until you progress through the story and you come back for it. Ratchet and Clank has a lot of areas that you couldn't explore until you unlock a certain ability. So you come back to that level and then you explore that area. Yeah, pretty similar basic stuff.
And sometimes you will have quests connected to one of them, but sometimes you will understand that now I obtained this kind of ability and I'm open to open something or run through something.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, people here at
Indiana
Gamescom
Jones
are
had
queuing
similar
up
vibe
to
too.
play Valor Mortis,
Similar,
but people at home are
areas that you
also
could
going to be able
only
to play in a
explore later.
playtest soon. I think you have to sign up on your website, right?
That's correct. There is a website, so please sign up. The playtest is gonna start at the end of September, as far as I remember.
Okay. What platforms will the playtest be available on?
So it will be PC Steam for now.
PC Steam for now.
The playtest.
Yes.
But the full game will be on PC, PS5, and Xbox.
Awesome. And can you give us a rough release date?
2026 is the release date.
2026. Okay. For all info about Valor Mortis, stay tuned to IGN.
Cool. Yeah. That was a good video. I think that gave us a little bit more context as to what we can expect from the game, compared to just the cinematic trailer they showed off from the Gamescom opening night. I think that's a pretty good take on the Souls genre. What we've been seeing so far was a whole train of third-person Souls-like games, which are fantastic, but this is a fresh take on that whole thing. And you know, if they're able to actually pull it off in first person, as they say, which can be quite challenging with the iframes. If you don't know what that is, iframes are what are they called? Invincible frames, where like for a few frames of a dodge, you are completely invulnerable to any attack or damage from the enemy, which is generally how they work. But I don't know how they can implement in first person, which can be a challenge. So they said they've done something cool with it, which we haven't seen. But yeah, if they can actually pull it off, being a Souls-like game in first person, this could absolutely take off and people will eat it right up. So yeah, I'm hoping they actually pull it off and we get to see more of it, seeing as how this is releasing next year and early playtest coming in September. I'm keen to get my hands on it and see what it's like. Let me know what you guys think of that trailer and that gameplay reveal. I'm pretty keen to see more of it. It's also one of those games that actually stood out for me as well, which I have mentioned in my video about the games that stood out from Gamescom. Check it out if you haven't seen. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Good stuff. Anyway, oh yeah, I also wanted to talk about this little bit of news, because last couple of weeks we had a lot of fun playing Battlefield 6 open beta, which was fantastic. I'm so hyped for that game after playing the beta test. I haven't pre-ordered yet, but I'm definitely going to be pre-ordering it before it comes out. Definitely going to be jumping right into it. But with that hype, there was another story that popped up from Insider Gaming about Battlefield 6 movement mechanics nerfed, bunny hop, sliding, and jump shots impacted. So obviously this is going to be a story that's probably going to divide some people. So I thought I should talk about it a little bit here. Yeah, so essentially what the article is saying is Electronic Arts has announced major changes coming to Battlefield 6 movement mechanics following feedback and telemetry analysis from the recent open beta. In a post, the team revealed that bunny hopping, slide shooting, and jump shots will all be addressed and impacted by the incoming changes that are being implemented to create a more balanced and traditional Battlefield experience. One of the key takeaways from the recent Battlefield 6 beta was that the game's movement mechanics were far too easy to abuse and exploit, resulting in some players flying around with reckless abandon, getting on the nerves of hardcore fans worldwide. Which is true. This is absolutely true. And I know some people, be like, oh, you cry because we can move, blah, blah, blah. But I think this is, in a way, good news. How much they're going to implement that, how much they're going to nerf that, would be something to pay attention to and see how that'll end up working in the final result. Because I did feel like the whole movement system, while it's pretty intuitive, especially like the revival system was pretty cool. The movement was it was a little faster than what you normally used to in a Battlefield game. But I did use, people playing it like COD, basically. A lot of people who are maybe coming from playing COD to this game were playing exactly like COD, bunny hopping and stuff like that, which I can imagine why it would anger a lot of hardcore fans, because that's not the way it intended to be played. That's not a classic Battlefield experience, if that's what they're going for. And I think the Battlefield 6 is all about a classic Battlefield experience, and that's what they want for the fans. And that's where all the hope is, because they want to bring back the hardcore old fans and also get new people excited about the game after a long hiatus since 2042, the game 2042. And if they have any chance of success of doing that, they want to cater to what the fans want, and that's not what the COD fans say. The COD fans will be like, oh my god, I'm not gonna play this game because it's the movement is too restricted, we don't have a battle pass, blah blah blah. That's some kind of bullshit like that. But if you are a true Battlefield fan, that's not how you should be playing this game, and this is good news for those players. And I'm pretty on board with it, but I still gotta see how much they're going to balance it out and how it's actually affect the gameplay. Now that the beta's ended, we have no way to check it until they do another beta, or hopefully they do another beta, because they are actually changing a lot of these movement stuff and kind of fundamentally changing how it plays. So it would be good to get our hands on another beta test before the final launch. Battlefield 6 beta movement has been adjusted. In a post, okay, so this is what they said. Movement mechanics have been adjusted to create a more balanced and traditional Battlefield experience. Momentum, especially horizontal speed, carried from a slide into a jump, has been reduced. Awesome. There is now a greater penalty for consecutive jumps, which lowers jump height when jumps are spammed. Firing while jumping or sliding will result in increased inaccuracy. Fantastic. I know this sounds like, oh my god, like why are they going back on this? But this is how a realistic movement should work. In real life, there's no way you can do this in a realistic way, and that's accurate. And that's a core Battlefield experience. It's not a war sim in any way, but it is somewhere between a war sim and arcade. That's what Battlefield has always been, and they need to find that balance again. These changes are designed to make jumping and sliding more situational, so they are no longer ideal options for engaging in gunfights, and will contribute to a gameplay pace that rewards skillful movement without becoming too fast and unpredictable. Parachute physics have also been retuned, with reduced initial acceleration when opening the parachute for more controlled aerial movement. Great. Yeah, I did feel like parachutes are going too fast. The faster paced movement mechanics rankled amongst the Battlefield fans, getting dunked on by Call of Duty players more used to the arcade style of traversal featured in the Battlefield 6 beta. This, combined with a very high TTD and bizarrely low TTK, meant that some elements of the Battlefield 6 open beta were less desirable than you might have liked. Do you think Electronic Arts has done well by tweaking these movements mechanics, or were you a fan of the faster pacing in Battlefield 6? Let me know your thoughts. Okay, yeah, I think this is a fantastic action taken by Electronic Arts. This actually makes me very happy to see that EA is finally listening to their players and actual, feedback from the fans of the game, and also balancing well with what they want to achieve from the game as well. So it's very clear what they want from the game, and they're aligning that with what the feedback has been from the actual people who play the game, who enjoy the game, who wants to buy the game and play it, which is fantastic news. Unlike what COD is doing, which is downright ignoring the fans and what they're telling and what the game needs to be. They are literally, there was I didn't get into it yet, but there is a news from Call of Duty. Let me bring it up because I was going to talk about this. There was a whole video actually. There was a whole ass video from IGN. Give me a sec. Yeah, there's a whole ass video from IGN about Call of Duty devs responding to lazy accusations. It's pretty hilarious. We have to check it out. All right, after the ad.
What's up, everybody? I'm Damon Hatfield here at Gamescom, and for today's
check this out.
gaming news, we have a Call of Duty Black
This is what you don't want from developers. Just so
Ops
you know.
7 dev commenting on claims that the series is lazy and better watch out for Battlefield 6, and Xbox has revealed the first game it's bringing to Nintendo Switch 2. Let's get into it. Presented by Universal Orlando Resort and its new theme park, Universal Epic Universe. In recent months, there have been more than one suggestion from members of the games industry that Call of Duty games are lazy and that the threat of EA's rival shooter Battlefield 6 will force a change in approach from Activision. In a recent interview with IGN, we put both of those suggestions to Black Ops 7 co-developer Treyarch to get its response. Some industry peers believe that the annualized shooter series is in need of some healthy competition. At this year's Summer Game Fest, Splitgate 2's director stated that he was tired of playing the same Call of Duty every year. That sentiment is seemingly shared by former Blizzard president Mike Ibarra, who posted last week in relation to the latest Battlefield 6 open beta.
This is not
Battlefield
surprising.
will boot stomp Call of Duty this year, but the real win here is Call of Duty won't be lazy anymore, and we'll all get better FPS games for it. Speaking to IGN, ahead of
I mean, this
Black
is
Ops
pretty
7
funny coming from different studios and game developers, because the consensus is pretty clear at this point. Looking at the trailer views we've gotten for Battlefield 6 and versus Call of Duty Black Ops 7, and the reception and the comments, you look at everything all together, it's pretty clear who's the clear winner for this series. Not that it needs to be a competition, but the fact that it is, despite the fact that Call of Duty 6, Call of Duty Black Ops 7, or the Call of Duty franchise as overall, is a pretty separate, different kind of game compared to Battlefield 6, which offers a different FPS experience. The fact that they have competition speaks volumes as to what Call of Duty needs to do.
Opening night live reveal here at Gamescom, Associate Creative Director Miles Leslie said Treyarch tries to shut out the noise, and focus on the noise and focus on delivering the best game possible.
Oh,
when asked
God.
about the lazy claims, Leslie said, "You just don't worry about it, right? When we start, it's not like, what are they going to think? It's like we have a vision, we're going to hit that vision, and there's always going to be people that are going to try to knock you down and not have positive criticism, which we do look for. So it's like noise, right? You try to cut through that and stick to your vision and plan. As for the threat of Battlefield..."
I mean, so basically COD devs are like, oh, your game sucks. You need to do better. And their response is, oh, where's that noise coming from? Let's just ignore it. I don't hear anything. What did you say? That's basically their response. I mean, come on. This is what happens. This is what they do. This is a cycle for COD at this point. I may have talked about this before, but this is a cycle for Call of Duty. They go through this cycle of, trying out different things, and then eventually they get to a place like, or they hit the typical jetpack jumping, wall running phase, and then people are mad that it's not Call of Duty anymore, and then they reverse back. They reverse and reset back into the basics again, which is what they did after Call of Duty Black Ops 3, or I don't remember which one is the wall running one. Black Ops 3, I think. And people were mad about, like, they were pretty sick of the wall jumping and jetpack jumping and all that bullshit, and they wanted a classic Call of Duty experience. Reset the whole thing back. They removed, double jump and all that BS. And they're doing it again now. They're doing it again. And this time it's not just the movement and all that, it's also like the bizarre skins, and it's become Fortnite, like first person Fortnite. That's what it is at this point. And some people are really digging it. They want that to be Call of Duty, but most people, I think it's pretty clear, they want a classic Call of Duty experience, which they're no longer getting. I think it's safe to say the last good Call of Duty experience was Modern Warfare. Even the remake was pretty good, but then it got cluttered with all these skins and BS. But I think after that it's Modern Warfare, the original. Then after that it started drifting away from what Call of Duty used to be. And they still haven't fully recovered from that. And I remember back in the day they had pretty stubborn mindset about if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of mindset, which is the philosophy they adapted for their Call of Duty games. But bruh, it might not be broken, but you do need to evolve as a game studio, as a game, because if this is an annualized IP where you release a new game for each year, you do need to give something new for your players. You can't just be recycling all the old maps and giving the same as gameplay. I understand that's what they do with all these skins and all that, but that's not what it is. You need to keep your, I don't know, they just lost the plot at this point. They think they're doing the right thing by the fans, but they're not. At the same time, they're saying things like this, saying, oh, it's all the noise, right? You got to ignore it, and not listening to your fans and feedback. This is exactly why they're going to fail, because they're just simply not going to listen, and they think they're just doing it. And they think because for the past 5 years they haven't had any real competition, because Battlefield has been in a hiatus since 2042, they sort of been flying free with the last Call of Duty and last few Call of Duties. I think Vanguard, Call of Duty Vanguard was the last game to release alongside Battlefield 2042, and since 2042 there hasn't been any Battlefield game for 4 or 5 years now, and last 4 or 5 games we had for Call of Duty, they had no real competition, so they got pretty comfortable, doing whatever they want, because they think, oh, people will buy our game anyway, because they're like bought into the ecosystem of Call of Duty. They're just not going to be not able to stay away from it. They will just buy it. That's a pretty stubborn mindset to think, especially now that Battlefield is back and there is some healthy competition there, and people are tuning into Battlefield more than Call of Duty ever has. I mean, the Battlefield open beta itself peaked player count that actually ended up being more than entire Call of Duty ever had, which is crazy to think about. Crazy. So they really need to get serious about this instead of thinking this is just, a noise that you need to drawn out, because this is serious. This is serious, and people are speaking out. People are actually calling you out for your lazy Call of Duty games. And I did also talk about one time where they were called out for using AI for their skins and custom skins for like operators and weapon skins and stuff. The fact that they're using AI to generate those and charging you like, $15 per pack, which is insane to me. It doesn't, there's no effort involved, but this is how they're making money off of players. I mean, players who buy those skins. I'm not one of them, but a lot of people do, right? So, yeah, they are definitely getting lazy. It looks like they're recycling a lot of the content, and even with Black Ops 7, it looks like they're coming up with a whole bunch of new old maps that are recycled and upgraded with textures for this one. At some point, you're just gonna get sick of it all. I mean, don't fucking give me another Nuketown map. I don't want it anymore. I'm done playing in Nuketown. Nuketown was great while it lasted, but I don't want to play Nuketown anymore. Like even right now, if I do jump into a Call of Duty session for a quick 30 minutes or something, I filter Nuketown out because I don't want to play it anymore. But that's just me. A lot of people still play. I'm just saying. Call of Duty needs to rethink their approach in terms of what they offer for the players, because now they do have healthy competition. Battlefield 6 is definitely knock it out of the park for them, and hopefully they will learn their lesson once again, because not like they didn't have this situation before, which we absolutely did, but they're going to have to learn it again and then rethink their approach. And I honestly think Battlefield should not be Call of Duty should not be an annualized game. I think it should be at least once every couple of years or 3 years, like Battlefield used to do. Battlefield they'd never released that game annually either. It was like once every 3 years or something, and that's exactly how it should be, because it works better. You can work on it for longer. You can actually focus on one game and support the game for longer. That's what people want. So, anyway.
6, we asked Leslie if DICE's game pushes Treyarch on, or even if the developer thinks about the game at all. Leslie said he'd played Battlefield 6, but is focused squarely on Black Ops 7. I got to play this weekend, he said. It's a fun game. We're fans of all games, and I think we look for inspiration anywhere. But we're focused on our own craft. They're doing their thing. We're fans of the FPS genre. We're fans of lots of games. Let's all have fun. Call of Duty Black Ops 7 is out November 14th. Moving on.
Yeah, I mean, if that's not cocky, I don't know what is. That's a pretty stubborn, arrogant way to respond to player feedback and player noise, as they call it. And it's probably going to be the death of Call of Duty at to some level, If not, I mean, I don't think it's going to kill Call of Duty, because I think there's enough dumbasses out there just want to play the game for what it is. And it is perfect for like a quick game session, so people will always jump in who has the game. But at the end of the day, it's they're gonna have to rethink their approach moving on for their next game. I mean, it's too late for this one now, for Black Ops 7. I don't think they have enough time to fix it or anything. They already finished the game at this point, and it'll be, given that it's going to be releasing September, October, or something like that, pretty soon this year. But they might want to actually look at rethinking their approach for the upcoming games after this one. If they don't, it will soon become, what happened to Battlefield, actually. Battlefield thought at some point they're superior and people will keep buying their games. So they got pretty cocky too. I mean, with Battlefield 1 being the last okay game. Some people actually call it the best one, but yeah, it's a pretty solid game. But then Battlefield 5, Battlefield 2042, they were all pretty bad. They never recovered from it, and to the point that they had to sort of take a break and rethink their approach, and they have done it mostly from what I have seen, and they still need to polish Battlefield 6, but I think it'll be in a good state, and people are generally pretty happy and pumped about the game, and they have done it. All they did was to revert back to the feel of Battlefield 3 and 4, which were the best games. And they also even took some inspiration from Battlefield Bad Company 2, which was also one of the goated games of the franchise. So they made the right call, and people are praising them for it for obvious reasons. And if Call of Duty doesn't see this and gonna ignore that noise, they're gonna learn this lesson the hard way, dude. They're gonna learn it the hard way. So yeah, interesting. Yeah. Anyhow. Okay, so let me know what you guys think of this whole Call of Duty versus Battlefield 6 situation, because I think the clear winner is Battlefield 6 in this year, at least for this year. But yeah, let me know if you have any different thoughts on if you have a different take on the matter. I would love to hear that. So cool. Right. What else have we got? Alright, cool. So we got about half an hour left before I gotta wrap up. So since it's just me and I'm probably gonna jump in. I actually had a few more things that I wanted to cover today. Some games actually, but I think I will save it for Monday stream, not today. For now, I think I'm just gonna jump into a game. Maybe let's do that. Cool. There was a game that I wanted to kind of dig into, which is, where is it? I don't know. Ferocious. Yeah, it's called Ferocious. I wanted to sort of dig into this game because whoa, what happened? Oh, there you go. Welcome to the latest Ferocious demo. Thank you for joining for our update. Since launching the first public playtest at the end of May, we have received overwhelming amount of support and feedback from the community. We're incredibly grateful for it. So if you don't know what Ferocious is, let me tell you what that is. So it's I'm just on the Steam page right now, so you can see. Immerse yourself in a survival FPS adventure. Stranded on a dangerous island, face mercenaries, dinosaurs, and vibrant yet hostile ecosystem. Explore breathtaking environments and survive the onslaught of intense, fast-paced. What happened? Fast-paced encounters. So this is just a demo. It hasn't been obviously released yet. Kind of looks like this, and I thought it looks pretty cool, and I wanted to like check it out and see what the hype is about. So let's jump in and see what they got here. Just kind of wanted to see what's up, you know. All right, cool. Whoa, why does this keep minimizing? It's so annoying. All right, let's check it out, shall we? All right, okay, looks pretty good. This is a demo version of Ferocious. Some features, content, and performance may differ from the final game. Yeah, no problem. No problem. Combat difficulty normal. Yeah, keep it all normal. What is yellow paint? Oh yeah, yellow paint is like the markers where you... Yeah, that's fine. What's your type? Static, dynamic, off. No, I want to keep it dynamic. Arachnophobia mode. I don't. Yeah, keep it all on. Keep it all on. This is 1080p, running on 1080p. Okay, that's a. Whoa. Why is it? Oh, there you go. That's better. It was running at 1080p. Weird resolution to run it. I have a 1440. That looks much better and crisp. Field of view, geometry quality, high. I don't want motion blur. I don't know why people keep insist on having that. I think that's pretty good. Oh, that's good. This looks good. New game. Can we go back? Is there like streamer settings? I don't think there were any streamer settings, were there? Master volume. Yeah, let's start the game. Cool. Let's check it out. Starts like a Nintendo game. Okay, it's a bit laggy. Why is it lagging? Okay, it's fine now. The game can only be saved at campfires. Very Souls-like of you.
I need to figure out where they took him.
Okay.
Looks like they flew him deep into the island.
Interesting. Press C to crouch. Okay. I will press C to crouch. Hang on a second. Okay. Whoa. Hang on a sec. Alright, let's keep going. I can't run. Oh, I can run. It's not well.
Holy shit!
Okay.
What was that?
It was a dinosaur. It's a pretty weird situation to be in. What is this? Red growth. Bandage. Pretty weird situation to be in, you know? Like you have dinosaurs. and ancient ruins. Oh, what's this? Banana. Cool, cool. Red paint. Sticks. Sticks are very useful. Most notably, you can build spears and matches with them. Open the inventory with I for crafting. Okay. Why is it all the way there in the keyboard? Stick, bandage, mastic, spear. I can craft a pretty basic menu, I must say. That's okay. It's all about survival. Okay. Still not. Oh, okay, that's where we came from. Cool. Still not entirely sure about what I think about the game, but let's keep going. It's pretty intriguing. Red growth. Red growth sounds a little bit weird to say, doesn't it? Minor complaint. If you're doing like this, you know, collecting stuff all the time, I feel like that animation runs a bit too bit too long and can get pretty annoying pretty quickly. It could just be like, yeah, like that, no animation, just pick up shit. You're not here, like, I don't think this game is trying to be like the prettiest game. If you know what I mean. It's just the basic survival first person kind of thing. Yeah, that's pretty annoying, dude. I don't want that animation to play each time I pick up a stick. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, that connects. Can get down from here to do what? What's that for? If you fall? Oh, there's more red growth. Crouch. Okay, that's the end of the road. Can't do anything here. Oh, there's eucalyptus bark. Can't really see them, huh? Unless you're like right next to it. Whoa. Oh, space to climb. They climbed. Red paint. I mean yellow paint. What does that mean? Navigation. Don't know where to go? Check your map with M. Green spear is your primary objective and the yellow spears are secondary. If that doesn't help, look at the sky and follow the yellow parrots. They always fly in the direction you need to go. Ooh, that's a pretty cool mechanic. Enable yellow plane settings, which can help with navigation. Like all other game settings, it can be toggled on. Where are the parrots? Well, they're kind of all over the place right now. Oh, there's a massive volcano in the distance. That helps. Okay, right now they're not telling me where to go, but that's okay. Gave me... Oh, where's the map? Let's look at the map. Oh. We go in this direction. Cool. Cool, cool. This is where we came from. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. Alright. Let's get up there. Whoa. Whoa. Reload. banana. Bro, I'm hungry now. I need to eat something. Oh, interesting. What do we have here? Save game. Loot. Okay. Shotgun shells. I have a shotgun. Hold R to inspect ammo. R to reload. Yeah, cool. I knew that. Giant scorpions. Yeah, that's good.
The scroll schemes sure would make them solid armor.
Wow. Did I just make armor out of a insect? I don't know if that's badass or kind of weird thing to do. But here we are. Hold F for ants. What? Did I just grab ants? What am I gonna do with ants, bro? Oh wow. Bandage. Look down to inspect your body. Look down to inspect your body. Okay, cool. Oh, guess I'll keep ooh, acidic mushrooms. Hey, this is what I want when I'm stranded and lost in a forest. I want some acidic mushrooms. That'll do. Let's save once again. Cool. Starting off pretty slow. I think I hear the dinosaurs in the distance. I hear something. Red growth. Health system. Normal bandages heal your health back up to 100% when used. Look down to inspect your body. Okay. Q to apply a bandage. However, any health status effects need to be removed first. When a health status effect is currently applied, you can press Q to remove it. If you have no bandages left and your health dips below 30, you can always heal yourself back to 30% by pressing Q. Advanced bandage heal start. Okay, cool. Well, I don't have anything, so Q is not doing anything. Just keep going. Press D to toggle the flashlight. Oh, where is the flashlight coming from? Doesn't matter. It's a game. It doesn't need to be realistic. But there's a lot of dead people. Why is there a lot of dead people, dude? Whoa. Okay, that's a sight. Am I supposed to go that way? What's that noise? Whoa! Jeez. Okay. Oh wow. Each time it gets a bit laggy. It got a bit laggy. I might need to change the settings. It's not very well optimized, I'm telling you. Not very well optimized. Geometry quality medium. Yeah, maybe that's a bit better. Is it them? Fuck. Whoa. Damn. Okay. I need to remember to reload. How do I? There's no armor. Health is 40. That took like literally. So where's? How do I know? Oh, okay. Bandage, body armor. Oh, I can make body armor. There you go. That's cool. Body armor, dude. And I have a bandage. No, just a bandage is fine. Cool. One advanced bandage. That's cool. Matchsticks. How many matchsticks do I have? I don't know. But I'll create some. Create. Maybe one spear is enough. How many spears do you need? That's alright. Well, I made everything I could make. How do you know? Oh. Okay, cool. Oh. Cool, cool, cool. Oh, great. I'll just keep going that way because I want to explore this area. I don't know what this is about. That's a cool site. Oh. Good thing I explored. Now I got some cash. Didn't think you could climb that high, but okay, it works. Oh, it's actually leading into a whole different path. Get up there and get a view of the land. Whoa. Look at this. Where are we? Whoa. Lots of cash. Lots of cash. Why is there cash? What am I going to be using cash for in the middle of the jungle with dinosaurs, dude? I don't get it. Pretty weird system, I must say. Oh, okay. So that's the end of the road. Go back down. Where did it start? Interesting scenario. Still not sure what to think. There's a creepy crawler right here. Takes at least 2 shots. How many? I only have 5 left. You just need to be like really up close, otherwise the shots doesn't register. Cool. Give me some shotgun ammo. None of these guys carried like weapons. The heck? Pistol ammo. Fine. I'll use a pistol. How many? I have 40, okay. You can clean. Oh, you clean. Damn, okay. That's Okay. So, you need to clean your guns too. And they seem to get dirty pretty quickly. You need acidic mushrooms to clean them. Very interesting. Advanced crafting. There are many resources on this island. Open the inventory with I to inspect any resource by hovering the cursor over it to see all available recipes for a resource. Add that resource to the crafting. Okay. Cool. Cool. This guy's dead. Hey, look, I can get an ant. It's so weird. Like, you see ants here, and you hold for ants, and you get one. You get one ants. Like 1 ants. That's what it says. They're ants, dude. Give us like 10. Such a weird mechanic though. Can I shoot this? Okay, that didn't do anything. I thought it would blow up. I don't need the torch. Oh, I can get more ants. Can I like keep aiming at the ants and get more ants? Maybe not. This is where I came from. A lot of texture popping. Ooh, look at this dinosaur skeleton. What am I gonna do with the bones? Oh, what is this? Cover with mud. Cover yourself with mud makes you harder to see and conceals your scent. Oh. Hey, that's good. I just cleaned my gun though. Damn. What's the point of that? You clean your gun and now it's dirty. Ah, damn. I spent all my mushrooms on it. Ooh, okay. Is that like a dungeon that you go in? I don't want to go in there yet because I don't know what to expect. Jesus. Let's go and save the game one more time. Is there anything this way? It's going into all different directions now. Okay. They said that if I look at the birds in the sky, they will tell me where to go. But they're like flying all over the place. What kind of bullshit is that? Okay, so there's something in this direction and something in this direction. Well, I gotta keep going this direction. Okay, so that's the path I should be going. But there is something in all these other directions that are like places of interest, I guess. So let me check those out. Maybe I'll check out this little dungeon thing. Why not? Oh, ancient key required. That makes sense. I mean, you do need ancient keys for like old wooden doors that you can see through. You can't kick it or anything. It wouldn't break. It needs an ancient key. It always does. That wouldn't make sense.
What the? How the hell did that get here?
What? Why are you so amazed? What did you see? Coconut sprout? Are those little dinosaurs? Oh, look at these little dinosaur babies. They're just running around harmlessly. That is interesting, isn't it? I find it interesting that he's only now asking the question how we got here. as if like all this time he's like, oh yeah, this is normal. Yep. All evidence leads to me having to find the ancient key for the wooden door. Centipedes? What are you gonna do with the centipede? Hello, this guy. Is that Wukong? It's the Monkey King. Good place. This kind of giving me like old Tomb Raider vibes. Do you remember there was like an old ass game? Is this like is this supposed to be like a remake of that game where like it's like a really old game where you basically the same setting. You got this jungle environment where you wander around with a gun and you have like dinosaurs to kill. It was a really old game and it was very bad at the time. But I feel like this might be like a remake of that. I actually don't know the name of it. This game is called Ferocious and it's only a demo. It's not officially released yet. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is actually a remake of it. Or like, you know, inspired by it at least. Would actually make sense if that's the case, because this is exactly kind of how it plays out. Kind of weird ancient ruin settings like this, and you got dinosaurs and you wander around. Not little dinosaurs, like big dinosaurs. Very similar settings. Oh wow, okay. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to the main menu. Because I gotta wrap this up today. It's been fun hanging out and covering all the game stuff. I did have a lot more other games that I wanted to cover today, but I'm gonna save it for my Monday stream to go get through them. Today I'm just gonna wrap it up, and yeah, this is it for now. Thanks for hanging out with me, and for those who tuned in, love you all. And those who didn't, please check out this stream. Hope you're checking out this stream on YouTube and Twitch after I finish it up. Check out my Gamescom videos and my Mafia All Country critique that I posted, which I'm very proud of. If you're looking to play that game, if you haven't played that game, if you thinking of buying it, I think it might be helpful for you. Tune in for Monday's stream. I will be doing that from 7 to 10 or 7 to 9. Yeah, until then, I will catch you and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye bye.